What is up, everybody? You have got the first of many conversations between Nick and Ned. I don't know if this is the Nick and Ned hour, the Nick and Ned special. I have no idea, but what I know is that I have a lot of energy and super positive. I have a lot of oxytocin flushing through my body. I've not met tons of people who can keep up with that until I met Ned Spector. Thanks for being here.
I am so pumped to be here. This is so official. I told you, this is like my dream to do this, so thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. I think that we are going to have some awesome conversation. We're going to talk about some amazing things, tell some good stories, give value to the people that want to listen to this.
For sure.
My goal is to promote Fleece and Thank You, to promote giving, to promote being a good human, to promote being happy, all those things. What are your goals?
Thank you for asking. Did I tell you I'm excited to be here?
Yes, you did.
My goal, as I've really started to really understand what makes me happy and what I want to do every day, is share my energy. I really want to try to spark joy, give value, and just move people to smile and be a little bit more positive and help them with just a little bit of burst of energy. If that's cool with
Who
you.
could say no to that? I love it.
I dig it.
So we got lunch a couple weeks ago or months ago maybe. You told me you broke down kind of the life story, which I thought was epic.
Thank you.
I think we've got some really interesting stories to tell.
For sure.
Can we go there to start?
Yeah.
Can we talk about the life of Ned?
For sure.
So origin, take me back.
For sure. So born in...
And I might interrupt if
no,
that's
please.
okay.
Dude,
just to make sure we hit the highlights.
Please. So I was born in Minnesota.
What city?
Was born in St. Paul, and then...
Go Wild.
Go Wild. That's good.
Yeah.
And then moved to a suburb of Minneapolis called Minnetonka when I was about 13. And then graduated, went to Indiana University. Go Hoosiers.
Go Hoosiers.
And then when I was
studied.
Well, so to go back a second, when I was 16, I saw the movie Jerry Maguire, and I was like, "That is it. I want to be a sports agent." It still gives me chills.
Someone's watching this and hasn't seen that movie. Quick plot. What is it?
Guy is super passionate about representing athletes. Doesn't love the morals of the company he's in. Leaves to start his own company. Tough journey. No one comes but one person. Loses basically all of his clients, gets one, and literally I was crying. I was like, I want to be Jerry Maguire. And literally I went to Indiana, and I had interned at Creative Artists Agency in California. They were a huge...
Is that a high school internship or a college internship?
No, it was a college internship.
Summer.
The summer of my freshman year, I believe it was.
How'd you find
that? My uncle is a television agent there, and so I sort of knew in the background what an agent did a little bit.
Is this pre-internet days?
Yes.
What year?
My freshman year at Indiana was 1998, and I remember, This is so cool that we're getting into this because I don't talk about this. I remember literally being in a computer lab in 1998 where I was like, what is this email? And I remember emailing my dad. I was like, Dad, we can talk. This is wild. And so the internet was just
crazy
happening my freshman year. So it was really interesting to be in college. And I even remember rumblings of Facebook, just kind of starting. It was oh, you had to be in college to do that. All these things were just starting to rumble. It was very, very interesting. And so I interned at CAA, loved the energy, loved the stardom of it. And I was very much, and it's interesting, we should get into this, very much, I started to get caught up into that Hollywood glitz. And
we're going to pause right here.
Please.
Cliffhanger.
Please.
We're going to fast forward to where you are today. So let me reciprocate here. My story begins Novi, Michigan area, born, raised, school here, went to local high school in the Michigan area, played hockey and soccer, loved sports growing up, go to college, play sports there. I get to the end of my college career. None of the opportunities in front of me seem like anything that's going to be my fit. and this opportunity to play soccer abroad opens up. 10,000 miles away, a continent I'd never been to. And that, for me, was one of my crossroads of like, am I going to do this? Am I going for this? Or am I going to take one of these things here that are just expectations?
Mm-hmm.
So that I'm going to cliffhanger my
That's
start there.
That's good.
Capture for us where you're at today.
Today.
And then people will be like, I got to hear the in-between. Because the in-between is crazy, by the way.
No, so today, I am still considered an independent contractor, and I'll fill in the details of how that ended up happening. But I am training to be an MC at Star Tracks, and also
which is an event company.
An event company here in Michigan, which again I would love to get into because I want to bring value for people who are thinking about starting their passion even on the side. Like, it is in my guts. Passion is like everything. I think we're so caught up with bills and this, and again, it's not practical to quit your job and go start your passion, but I am desperate to get more people, even part-time, even 1 hour a week, to work on their passion, because it just the feeling that I'm getting now at 39, I want people to get at whatever age they're at, because I just believe we are all here for a reason, and the happiness and the vibe and the flow I'm feeling now, it was everything I like thought it was like going to be, and now that I've dove in, because it was scary and we'll get into it, but it's bringing me so much happiness. So
quick pause there
yeah,
on happiness.
Yeah.
I'm reading a book right now called Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek.
I'm a huge fan of Simon Sinek.
Yeah, big fan.
I don't think I fully fit. I'm always like reading so much, so sometimes I'm like in the middle of them. I love Simon Sinek so much. And by the way, if you're listening or watching and you haven't seen his TED Talk, shout out to my guy Matt Rinke, great financial planner. He about 4 or 5 years ago told me to watch Simon Sinek's TED Talk, Start With Why, and it literally rocked my whole shiz, like legit.
He says some great stuff.
He's
I don't know where he
amazing.
gets it from. Love to talk to him someday. But in this book, Leaders Eat Last, if you don't want to read the whole thing, just Google. I'm sure there's an excerpt. He talks about the chemicals going on in your body behind happiness and the 4 chemicals that are happening.
Legit.
With like oxytocin and endorphins and stuff. It's a great backup for like, if you really want to boil down happiness, man, there's these chemicals going through. It's like, how do you do more? How do you do more to get these chemicals to flow?
Legit.
So anyways,
it's good.
Carry on right there.
So right now today, so I'm training to be a Star Tracks MC. I've just did my first 2 parties, and I was super nervous. This was literally on Friday. I was super nervous because I'm still like training and learning how to DJ, and I've done some corporate parties over the year, or corporate events over the years, and so I've done some MC work, but never like an actual party with music. And so major shout out to a guy named Dennis at Star Tracks, an incredible MC who's training me. A guy named Dimes, great DJ. Over the last handful of weeks, they've been training me, and on Friday, it was like my first school party. It was a daddy-daughter dance at a middle school. And I was like nervous, but I was excited. And that, to me, is so the intersection of where passion lives. Is like, are you nervous, but like, you know it will light you up? And that's what happened. And literally, it was so funny because I didn't know how much Dennis was going to give me the mic. And at the beginning of the party, he was like, "It's your party, man. Go." And I literally remember,
Jump right
it was
in.
crazy. Took the mic, jumped off the stage, and just like went in and like did my thing. And I was just telling Jeff Kretschmer, who owns Star Tracks, yesterday. So Jeff, in my 39 years, I've had a lot of jobs. Very grateful. They've all played a role. But when I stepped on that dance floor and I got on the mic and I was rocking with these kids, I was like, this is exactly where I need to be. This is like so, and I literally get chills. Like, this is the epicenter of every, like, the place that I want to put my energy. And I always said, like, over the last few years, as I've been on social media, I was like, my favorite place is the dance floor, and I'm putting together this musical, and I was like, I just don't want to give like a keynote, like I want to bring it to the dance floor, you know. And so I'm putting together this musical, and we can talk about that. But you know, so right now I'm at Star Tracks.
You know how I know you crushed that party, by the way? Saw it on Instagram. Firework, everyone dancing to the Katy Perry song Firework.
By the way, if you're having a rough day right now, turn on Katy Perry Firework. It just like so fun.
Blast it.
Legit. So within Star Tracks, they're also letting me run with this idea of I'm really passionate about using my voice and energy to promote companies I love. And in looking at a lot of company pages, for sure on Instagram and Facebook and even LinkedIn, there's a lot of companies who could do more with video. And so what I'm pitching to companies is, hey, can I be like a social media reporter helping tell your brand story in an entertaining and educational way, almost like educational entertainment. And so literally over the last month, we've started doing it with Treat Dreams, an ice cream shop, doing it with Paul Davis, a friend that you introduced us to, I'm grateful for, local school, and it's been great. And so it's super new, again, scary, but really every time I do it, I love it. And so that's my role at Star Treks. I also do promotional products with a company called Geiger. So we do branded merchandise, T-shirts, sweatshirts, that kind of thing. And we can get into that because that's a whole other thing that I struggled with for a while. It was a business that was really building. But that's me right now. Where are you?
So today I am the executive director of Fleece and Thank You, which is a 501c3 charity that is about 5 years old. This all started 5 years ago when I saw that kids in the hospital weren't getting comfort. We'll dive into that story in a little bit. But what we do today is we do about 300 to 400 events a year where we make blankets with groups of all shapes and sizes, anywhere from 5 to 500 blankets at a time. And we also do these big Make a Blanket Day events where we engage multiple cities, thousands of people to gather and make thousands of blankets. One of the more notable ones you were a part of back in September of 2019, and we're gonna tell that story here real quick. So we wanted to pull off this event where we said, well, what if we invited Rochester, Rochester Hills, Troy, Lake Orion, Auburn Hills, and if you're not from Michigan, those are cities around Metro Detroit. Invited all the school systems, all the businesses, got tons of sponsors, and we said, well, let's break the Guinness World Record for most fleece blankets made in 8 hours. Got Guinness there, had a Guinness judge there. And we talked to Star Treks and said, you know, what can we do to make this a 6-star event? And they said, well, you got to have an MC. You got to have someone on the mic just pumping people up. And they said, we'll donate an MC to this event. Didn't know who it was going to be. They just said, we'll donate it. And maybe 2 weeks before the event, we get an email from Ned at Star Treks. Hey, I'm your MC for this event. Cool. Don't know who Ned is, but we got an MC. This is great. Do you remember sending that email to us?
I remember, and that was literally my first month at Star Treks. And I told them that I was really passionate because I came in doing other things. They hired me to, help with some social media, business development stuff. And I just, I kept feeling like the MC stuff was really what my passion was. And I remember because I really wanted to get prepped and understand. And I was like, oh, this is perfect because I love these kinds of causes and organizations. And when I learned about what you did, I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome.
I'll be honest. I didn't have a high expectation for an MC being there. I had never seen Star Treks in action. I only knew former 8th grade dance MCs, right? That are they stand kind of by the DJ booth and hey, everybody put your hands in the air every maybe 10 minutes or something but so my expectation was low. You show up, you introduce yourself right away. Hey, I knew you had done some research because you said some things right off the bat that showed me, oh, this guy's done some research on us. He knows something about us.
By the way, and I hate to interrupt, but this is interesting.
Don't hate to interrupt. Love it.
My former boss at CAA, and we can get into this in a little while, but my former boss, Richard Lovett, my job was to literally handle all of his preparation. And we'll get into the story of it, but I've taken that into, for sure, the MC stuff too, and really anything in business. And I think it's I think we all, the element of preparation isn't the most fun part, but as a very close friend of mine, Andrew Kaloff, said, who works for Steven Spielberg's company in California, the movie's made in pre-production. You got to do the work on the front end. Even if it's not fun. Mm-hmm. What I do, it's when I'm prepping for an event now, I'll be totally honest with you. It's I just want to get out there and rock. Mm-hmm. But what I do is because it takes muscle to sit down on a Monday morning and prep, I'll literally say, okay, let's go 4 weeks out and just do 30 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day. You're what can you stay consistent with and just get reps so that when I get there, I know it's in my fabric. Mm-hmm. And I think if somebody's listening, I so suggest you do that for meetings because you can go in and just rock. And like, I just don't think people do it enough.
I struggle with that.
It's
I,
hard.
I don't lack that muscle, but I lack the consistent working out of that muscle. I have a team member on my team, my director of ops, Alyssa. She's got that muscle. She's like 10 times stronger than me in that muscle, and that's why I'm stoked that she's on the team because she challenges me to do better with that. I think I get a false sense of confidence that, like, I'll be able to perform. But
100%.
really, even if you are able to
100%.
perform, how much better can you be? It's like if you're working out and have a
100%.
bad diet,
100%.
you might be able to lift a ton and look
100%.
great. But what if you just ate better too?
100%. It's like, and I think what I am now, and I just told Jeff this yesterday. I had a great meeting with him. We were talking about everything. I said, I want to be a student of the game. I want to become a great entertainer. I don't want to just pull it off with great energy. I want to know how to DJ because that'll make me a better MC. I want to know the timeline. I want to know the kid. I want to know all my music. Dimes, who's an amazing DJ here, he's like, you got to know your music. Like, I know you love NSYNC and you joke around, all good, cool, but you got to know all the rap music now. The kids are like, so I was like, well, that's the greatest homework assignment you could give me. But again, if you're listening to this, it's like, how do you literally become a student of your game? And I'll be honest with you, we haven't talked about this, but I think the Kobe stuff hit people so hard, all the families, and of course, it literally, there's no words, but it's interesting. Like, were you hit? Like, I just think, like, it was interesting as I talked to just like my generation, young dads with daughter, like, it wasn't a normal like celebrity passing. For some reason, it just rocked our culture, and it really made me. I was like, and this may sound corny or cheesy, but like, this sticks with me now. Like, I'm like, what would Kobe do? Like, how would Kobe prepare for this? Like, if he was an MC at Star Trek, and I know this sounds like ridiculous, but like, this is my mentality now. It's like legit. It's like Mamba mentality. Like, I just want to be great. We got like one life, one shot at the apple. How to become amazing at whatever we do. If you're a nurse, like, how do you bring all of that? Like, there's a great quote, Danny Johnson says, prosper where you're planted. It doesn't mean you have to stay there forever, but honor it, stamp it. You'll know when to leave or when to get the next job or whatever, but like, bring your absolute like hurricane best self to it. And like, and so like with the event with you, I wanted to prep it. I was asking a million questions. I want to know, how do we do this? What's the process? So like, when I show up, I want to be part of you guys.
100%. I could tell that from the get-go.
I want to be part of you guys.
It was awesome.
Right
away, asking questions. How can I help? What can I do? You got the layout of the land. And 2 years ago, we tried to do a Make a Blanket Day, but we just did it in Troy, just one city. Man, we had a similar setup to what you saw at this Make a Blanket Day, like 300 tables, hundreds of blanket making stations, huge circus tents. Man, we had like 150 people show up to it. It was like, like a majority of the crowd was our volunteers and our board. That was like a wound that we still had. So we planned this big event, and that was still in our head. Like, man, we got a DJ, we got an MC this time. Like, I hope people show up, because that scar was still there.
Legit.
And I was a little bit nervous, like, how that was going to look for you if you showed up to MC for us on your Saturday, and we had 150 people show up to this massive event. And so we kick it off at 12 o'clock. The Guinness judge says, "Oh, it's officially begun." And I don't know if you remember, but everyone on my team remembers looking up, and all of a sudden there was just this mob of people. And by 12:40, there were 872 people that had come down the stairs.
Legit.
We had someone with a clicker for Guinness waiting there clicking. That was her job the whole day.
I was just excited to meet somebody from Guinness.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, this is really
great outfit, adjudicator.
This
yeah,
is official.
She was legit. 872 people had, so like, that shattered all of the anxiety that it was going to be a dud. And then, man, we just saw you go to work. Like, the second those people came, you just, man,
it's just,
lit
I
up.
find for me, and I struggled with, and I don't know if you want me to get into this, but when I was in the promotional products, like world, and I'm still in it. But as I was when I first got in it, I hit $1 million in sales real quick, like in the first couple years. I got lucky with a few big accounts, and as it grew, I kept telling my wife, like, I don't know, I just feel like I'm not like meant to like sell like promotional product, and I just had like a really bad attitude about it. And so I was like, I had a moment where I hit the million, and I remember literally in my office like sitting back, because that was like a big goal for me, and it was so anticlimactic. And I literally remember sitting back in my chair, and I was like, why is this anticlimactic? And my normal MO in my career up until that point, I would just leave. Like if it wasn't my like dream job, I'm out. And it was right around the time we were starting to talk about like, are we gonna have kids and like that? And I was like, if I had a son or daughter, what would I tell them in this moment? And it was very easy for me to answer that, because it was like my moral of like, I would tell them, honor it. Back to that Danny Johnson was like, prosper where you're planted. I knew there was so much more meat on the bone, and I said, okay, I'm going to flip this then. If I'm going to stay, I'm going to flip this. And I'm going to, A, work with companies I'm passionate about. I want to say, Nick, I love your company. I want to help you with your merchandise. I want to feel a part of you. B, I love to motivate. I'm going to motivate the one person on my team and try to make it the best job she's ever had. And 3, I'm going to build my business through social media. I'm going to share. I'm going to start a show. I'm going to reach out through Instagram direct message. I'm going to follow those 3 things. And every time I got off course and I had a bad attitude, it was because I wasn't following those 3 things. And so when I showed up to your event, it's very easy for me to use my energy to talk about things that I'm passionate about. And so that with preparation, it was like, okay, I love what you're doing. Like, I really love it. And so, again, it's this element of like thinking about if you're listening or watching, it's like you may not like love your job. Like this is a super like hot topic for me because I left so many jobs. I would challenge you, maybe you have kids, you have bills, like it is just not practical. And I would not recommend quitting and starting a passion project. It's just not practical, and it's not safe in some cases. But can you find creative ways to bring your passion to your job? Like you may literally work in an insurance company and you love to bake.
I was going to say baking.
Like literally.
Wild vibes. Yeah.
Like you could just bring once a week. I mean, literally, that gives me like chills. Like weird. Like bring your favorite recipe in and like watch what that does to the office. And like it's not going to be 100% of your job, but like maybe you just like shake 10% of it and like that brings you joy. While by the way, in the morning, at night, on the weekends, what are you launching on the side? And so I love what you're doing. I believe in what you're doing. The greatest advice that my mom and dad ever gave me was to do the right thing. And I believe you're doing the right thing. And I believe it's helping a lot of people. And so I was honored to be there that day. It was a crazy, and we were talking on the way in, and you showed me the Guinness certificate. That was one of the coolest moments, not even in my career, but like it was crazy. And I feel like I'm talking your ear off, and I'll let you jump in. But like I was supposed to train, and I told you this. I was supposed to train with Dennis that night because I had just started to sort of, am I going to MC? Am I not? And by the way, that goes into like I was still very nervous about it. Supposed to meet Dennis at 7, I believe. So I was going to leave at 6. And I'll let you.
That was when it all went down. Yeah.
I mean, well, why don't you jump in and tell what happened?
So the 872 people are there at 12:45. We planned the event thinking there'd be 500 people there. So we've already blown past that. Like so many things went wrong because of that, but so much went right because of that. You know, shout out to the Fleece and Thank You team. No one might have seen what was going wrong because they all handled it so well. But man, that took a toll on us for sure in all the best ways. Like that was great. So all these people show up. There's people making blankets, going nuts. We planned the event from 12 to 4, thinking we'd be able to make 2,000 blankets in 4 hours. Yeah, don't know why we thought that was going to be the case, but we knew we had 8. And so it got to 4 o'clock, and we were over halfway, but it wasn't much over halfway. And that was when like we started talking, and I kind of got real with myself and with you, and with the Guinness judge. The Guinness judge was like, dude, you guys are not getting this. She straight up said to me, I just don't think it's going to happen. But I said to you, I'm like, hey, we got to pick up the pace. Like we got to get these people moving. And we all went into hustle mode. And shout out to everyone that was there from 12 to 4, and then everyone who was planning on leaving at 4 and stayed because that crew just took over, and we just our pace increased.
Legit.
Even though people started to leave because they thought the event was ending, our pace started to increase. And then it looked like, hey, if we keep this pace up, we might be able to do this. Like in 8 hours, we might be able to do this. Hopefully everyone won't mind staying till 8 p.m., but we can do this. It got to, like, a storm had already passed us during the day. So we're like, we're good. Luck's on our side. And then people started saying, hey, check the radar. And I remember you holding out your phone saying, hey, I don't know if you've seen this. There's this big red
Legit.
spot. And it's coming right for us.
And you could see it coming.
You could see it out in the distance, one of those like swirling cloud things. And in my heart, I was just like, yeah, but it's just gonna miss us.
What
like,
time? What roughly remind? What time was that?
so that's right. This is right around like 6:15.
Okay.
Right, and going into your position, like you have to meet this guy Dennis at
Yeah, like
7.
I think
so
it was,
you,
I
like
was
that's
gonna
about
leave.
the time that you have
I was
to
gonna
dip.
leave. Yeah.
Yeah, but we were so close.
Yep.
This storm was coming.
Yep.
And
No way.
it was, for some of us, it wasn't even about making blankets anymore. It was, well, we got to get all the blankets we made
Right.
in bags covered. Like,
We had those,
the
like-
rain's
right.
coming. We can't get them up to the truck.
Right.
We're looking at the radar, and then all of a sudden, it hit.
But remember, like there was like 3 small tents, and we had to move all the plastic bags
We
under.
moving 10 by 10 tents.
Right, so
putting
everyone's
bags under.
throwing the bags in like
Yes.
fast because it
Yes.
was like a movie. It was like what is going
the
on?
wind's picking up.
And it was so amazing because when we started, it was this pristine day,
Yes.
not a cloud in the
Not a
sky, and then it
cloud.
was just like, here it comes, and we knew and I swear to you, literally I get chills. All the bags. Like at the nick of time, I was like, I don't even know how all the bags are going to fit under these 3 small tents, but
Yep.
everybody put them in. They were in plastic.
Yep.
And then it was like
It
the
hit.
Wizard of Oz.
It was like the Wizard of Oz. And this thing went from 0 to 100. The wind picks up. I'm not a meteorologist. I can't gauge wind speed. 30 miles per hour. I don't know.
It was heavy.
The wind was so violent that the little 10 by 10 tents, right? The ones that were covering the blankets, we had people standing on
Right.
them. The other 10 by 10 tents, no chance. They're flying around the field like a tumbleweed, right? Getting mangled and bent. We had papers under tables. They're going everywhere. It's already a mess, right? Like I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing's like unwinding, and the wind is just picking up. The rain is hitting us, and then like you see like the tents are kind of shaking.
Huge,
Like,
by the way, huge tents.
Huge
these are like
tents.
big circus
40
tents.
foot,
Like
yeah,
these
I
are
mean,
and like weighted down. I mean, they
weighted
were, like,
down, staked into the ground.
literally.
Though I remember being on by the finish line, and I remember talking to Brittany, and her saying, "You're at 1,900 blankets."
And Brittany's from Guinness.
Brittany
Right.
Dunn, the Guinness judge. She said, "You're at 1,900 blankets," and I remember looking down at her clipboard and seeing like 1907 circled, and thinking, "Oh, like if this storm passes, maybe we can do this." And as I'm looking down at the 1907, I hear screams. And I look up just in time to see the first tent collapsing. My heart sank. Like, oh my gosh, like there were people in there.
Legit.
What? I sprint to the tent. Tons of people sprint to the tent. We're literally lifting up this heavy tarp and like grabbing people by the hand and crawling them out from under this tent. I remember lifting up the tarp, getting under there and seeing people huddled underneath the folding tables. And the folding tables, thank goodness there were folding tables under there, because people took refuge under these folding
Interesting.
tables.
I didn't know that.
The big metal poles that were keeping this tent up, the stakes ripped out of the ground, metal poles just come crashing down. We pull everyone out from under the tent. No one was hurt. Everyone was okay, which was like, whew, all right, great. Storm is still hitting us, right? And then I remember everyone's holding on to the remaining 3 tents. People were thinking one of the tents was going to go, so everyone got under the 2 tents. There's this crazy scene of people holding on to tents, people driving stakes back in,
Literally.
like we were on a ship.
Literally. I mean, the footage, if you can call it, I mean, is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's epic, and I was like, oh, these people are like hero. I mean, literally like in the rain, like staking the thing. I mean, it was unbelievable what's going on.
There were no words for sure. There almost still isn't. And I remember I was at the far corner. I'm holding this tent down, knowing I'm not the only one holding it down, but feeling like if I let go, this thing's gone. And I'm sure everyone who was holding it felt like if I let go, this thing's gone. And in that moment, when we got everyone out from under, I was like, okay, this storm's got to pass eventually. I remember thinking, oh, that kind of stinks. Like, we were so close. Like, why? We were so close, and this storm is going to ruin it for us. And I had reverse grip on the tent, and I turned my head, and there were people still making blankets.
Legit.
That's when I knew
Legit.
we were going to do this.
Legit.
20 minutes of a storm. The storm eventually passes. It was poetic. The clouds part. The sun comes out. Guinness judge says, I have an announcement.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have set the Guinness World Record. And everyone just went bananas. People were
amazing.
crying.
Yeah.
People were
Yeah.
crying. I had someone come up to me and say, this was a generational event. This will be remembered for generations.
It was epic.
It was epic.
And I feel like it was an interesting metaphor. Again, not to get like too cheesy, but like I feel like when great things are about to happen, it's the hardest. It's almost like the universe saying, like, do you really want this? I just find that. Like, I find that there's almost this, like, you have to kind of smile at it and just double down.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
When we made the recap video for it, what eventually came out from that recap video was this thesis that, like, the kids we serve, they go through some pretty tough storms. But if they can get through it, we just took their example.
Yep.
We went through a storm that day, got through it, and the result is 2017 kids will now have that piece of comfort for their hospital journey to weather their storm.
Truly.
So because we were able to weather that storm, using their example, we're able to give them that comfort
Truly.
to weather the storm that they're going through. And that was like...
It must be, and I'd like to do this actually, but it must be pretty powerful when you do the actual blanket deliveries, and it's just like, yeah, I mean, I just, like, there's someone on Facebook that I'm following, like, his child is in the hospital, and, like, I think, like, going into, like, hospice, and, like, I can't even, like, I mean, it literally, like, makes me cry, because you just ask yourself, like, why does that, like, what, like, this little boy's, like, 1, and it's just, like, I mean, like, truly, it just, like, it just makes you so grateful. I mean, it makes you, like, ask questions, but it also just makes you want to help in any way, and that's why I just love and believe in what you're doing, and it's appreciated so much, and I'm so pumped because I believe in all my heart that this is going to be such a huge movement. I really do. I think it's cool it's happening here in Michigan, and I just can't wait till it's just so big and national and worldwide, and it's one of those things where it's like a simple idea executed well with the right people behind it with the right intentions is the recipe.
It's all for these families, man. They are so strong, and for them, like, they were dealt a card by no fault of their own, right? These kids were dealt a card by no fault of their own. It wasn't like they chose to go drive in the snow, or they were just dealt this card for whatever reason, and now they have to play their hand with that card. And our goal is just that every single one of those families, every single time, knows that there's a group out there, that there's a ton of people that care about what's going on inside that hospital room.
Legit. And what's interesting, and we don't even know what we're going to end up doing with this content. When we had lunch in that igloo of sorts, which was really cool outside, just to get together and vibe and provide people just value in any way. If somebody's listening to this and going through something with their child in the hospital, can you just give, I didn't put you on the spot here, but, like, what's your advice to them? Is there some nugget that they can hold on to just help them? Like, it's funny because as I was scrolling through Facebook and I'm following the journey of this little boy, who they tried everything, chemo, surgeries, and Like they basically said they can't do anything more, and so now the family's just basically giving him like amazing memories and doing all these fun things and taking him to all these cool places in Minnesota. And I was like, man, like I just want to like do something, and I don't know what to do. So are there things that, like, what does somebody do in a case like that? Like that, what would your advice be for somebody who reads that to do? And what would your advice be for the families going through that? If there's, I mean, not to put you on the spot, but like it's something that I'm actually going through, and it's really,
it's
really
a powerful
troubling.
question, man.
It's troubling me because I
Powerful
see
question.
it on Facebook every time I go on, and my heart just breaks. And yes, prayer, of course, powerful, but like, is there anything else that like people can do to offer support if they want to do something for families who are going through this?
So, my answer will have the disclaimer of like I'm just a guy who's been working in this field for 6 years. I'm not a social worker. I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. So, my opinion is from that context. I've worked in this space for 5, 6, 7 years now. The biggest thing that I thought of when you asked your question was for the families to know, I can't tell you everything is going to be all right. No one can do that. But just to know that you're not alone, right? In addition to all the amazing support groups and things out there, your family, your closest friends, like there's even strangers that care about what's going on in there. And you're just not alone. And don't be afraid to lean on anyone and everyone that you can to get through that time, because you're not alone, and you shouldn't have to hold up that situation on your own. And to the people that are friends or acquaintances, connections of those people, it's our job to do what we can to make sure they know they're not alone, and to be right there for the second that they turn for that help. Mm-hmm. If you had a friend who was sitting on a chair in a room that was on fire, but just in their heart of hearts, like they wanted to stay in that room, or they couldn't leave that room, man, maybe the truest friend is the one who said, well, I'll bring my chair and sit down right next to you. Short of course, picking your friend up and walking them out of the room, which we can't do in this situation. Mm-hmm. So it's just, I think, for the families, it's to know you're not alone. And for the friends, we need to make whatever moves we can to be right next to them, letting them know we're here. I'm not going to grab you, but I'm going to put my hand out. Mm-hmm. And the second you need it, you just have to turn, and I'm right here.
It's beautiful. I appreciate you sharing that. Is there... for people who are listening, and this may not be your model, so to answer it honestly, and we're just going off script here, not that we have a script, but like if I wanted to send this little boy a blanket, like if he's in the hospital, like is that something that like you're set up to do, or it's more event based?
Yeah, 100%, man. You can go right to our website. You can order an individual kit. It'll get shipped right to your house, or you can pick it up right here at the Fleece and Thank You warehouse. You can make that blanket, make a video message with it, and either ship it to that patient. We can ship it to that patient. You can hand deliver it to that patient with that message on it. Yep.
So first of all, I'd love to do that today. But so if somebody's listening just out of state, if they're like in California, could they give you the information, then you ship it out to that's amazing.
Yep.
And what's the website if people are listening?
Fleeceandthankyou.org. So that's Fleece with an F for Foxtrot, LEECEAND, thankyou.org.
I love that. By the way, do you know that, so I have a 2-year-old. Do you know that your logo is so cool? I'm looking at it. It's like kind of like right on your heart. It's in the same family as Moana's, the heart of the
I know what you mean. Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is a rolled up blanket, and every blanket has love at the center.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Beautiful.
A friend of mine, Maria,
beautiful,
made it back when I first got the idea. She was in graphic design at Oakland University, and I said, hey, my logo's on PowerPoint, and it looks terrible. Can you make something? She made it. and it's stuck till today.
I love it.
Yeah, really, really big shout out to her for making it. So
By the way, have you seen Moana?
I have,
It's phenomenal.
yeah,
I love it.
I love that one song. I think I played it out in the
it's
warehouse
amazing.
tons of times. Yeah, just what's
Like,
that called?
I've been staring
yeah,
at
yeah,
the
yeah,
end of
that
the
one.
water
Yeah,
as long as I can remember. You asked me how high I was going to get on this pitch wise.
I think you're good. I don't think you went
okay, good.
caused any disruption.
But by the way, it's so interesting because in watching Moana, like, family's telling her, take the safe route, do this. And she was like, no, like, I want to go. I can relate to that. You know, like, you gotta,
100%.
you know, big risk, big reward. Calculated, but.
So we have we've come to the end of our time today.
Yes. By the way, that was fast. I feel like we could talk
I
about
know, it was crazy. We could do triple this.
that. Yeah.
But what first off, what we're coming back with next time is we left you with that cliffhanger on young Ned, who has this passion to be the next Jerry Maguire in a better way, and has gone out and done the California internship and is just geeked to be in that space and wanting to learn more and dive into that space. You've got a young Nick who got to the end of college, the proverbial didn't know what I was going to do with my life, and is about to take this opportunity to play soccer in a country and a continent where he knows not a soul. And we've talked a little bit about where we're at today, and so we'll give you the in-between on the next time, and
Cool.
and I'm sure talk about many other things. But to recap some of the things that I think I took away from this, we talked about the preparation muscle and how important that is, whatever it is you do.
And by the way, to add on that, though, to give somebody a tangible thing, if preparation is hard for you, schedule it. And I'd like to talk about schedule next time, but
sure.
like the headline is, you must own your time. You must schedule what's important to you. Tim Ferriss, who I'm sure you're a huge fan of, great podcast, he was like, it's not real unless it's on your schedule. And so just put 20 minutes of preparation, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Just break it down into what you can digestibly do. So that goes for everything, but for sure preparation.
Last week, someone said to me, "Show me who your calendar is. I'll show you who you are."
I am, again, it is such a I would love to talk about that next time
for sure.
because I am so wildly passionate about that I'm very passionate about changing up lyrics of songs. So I change up the lyrics of songs. We'll talk about that.
We sure will.
So
preparation,
yes,
schedule it, do it, make it a part of your habits. What else? What else did we teach? What else did we learn?
I think finding creative ways to bring your passion into your day job, and schedule time to work on your side hustle.
Would be 2, and 3. If you're going through a tough time, or if you know someone going through a tough time, just know you're not alone. And if you're that friend, sit right next to them, and have the hand out, so that the second they need it, you're right there.
I dig it. And I want to make that blanket and send that to this
do
little
it.
boy.
We'll make it
I was
happen.
looking for something tangible, so this is beautiful.
Perfect.
Dude, wait, by the way, can we just go off script for 1 second?
Yeah.
Because you sent me these questions, and I thought they were so thoughtful.
Yes.
I didn't want to look at them fully because we talked about the element of spontaneity. Can I just pick one, and we can both just vibe for 2 seconds?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
This is good. I'm inspired right now by...
Do you have yours? Are you doing the brainstorm?
I'm gonna be like super cheesy, but
it.
it's so real for me. Coming here because we can all get busy, but like when I left the first event, I was like, I love this. This is so, again, this is very tangible for me. It's like kids are in the hospital, they need blankets. I love that. Coming here was such a reminder that I just love what you're doing, and I'm inspired by it. It's so real, it's so raw, it's helping people, and I would say I'm inspired by that and what you're doing and your courage to do it. And again, to bring it back to the people listening, there's so much out there with philanthropy, and we should definitely talk about this. But for me, it's so cool, and I want to continue to be more involved, whether that's monetarily or, more importantly, my time, with an organization that really lines up. Like, find that. Like, and I think it's okay to say no to certain organizations because your time and your money are finite. And so I'm really excited, and I literally have chills. I say that a lot, but when I get lit up, and we even had lunch and I said that a lot, find an organization that really lights you up and go there. you don't have to respond to every envelope. And it's overwhelming. And I really would love to talk about this, like for real, because I consider you an expert in this, because that can get overwhelming. And so I'm inspired by what you are doing, and I'm excited to be involved in something that I can literally feel and touch and see the results of. So I'm amped on that.
Power.
Legit.
Right now, I am inspired by the this is like a real specific
Yeah,
one.
go. I love it.
I'm really inspired by like my team here and how hard I see them work for this mission. And that goes to my team here and then the many volunteers that help us out. Like we have some volunteers who do come and go like all volunteer bases. But I've got team members that put in plus 40 hours a week because they care about these kids. And I've got volunteers like a guy named Ron who texted me yesterday and said, "Hey, I've got a free day. Does any hospital need blankets? I'm willing to drive a couple hours." Well, it just so happens Grand Rapids has needed blankets for 2 weeks. We just haven't been able to get out there. I said, "Yeah, Ron, Grand Rapids needs them, but I know it's far." He said, "I'll be there at 9 a.m.
I love that.
And so I'm inspired by the team here.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
We'll be back for sure. This is not the last. We got so much more to talk about, but
Dude, I
until
love you,
then,
brother.
yeah, dude, until then, thank you for today.
Thank
and
you.
We'll talk to you guys soon.
Peace out.